Something crazy is happening for Bitcoin now, and that's what we need to discuss in today's update video, because gold keeps on pushing to the top side, but it gets more and more likely that eventually we are going to see a cycle top for gold. And the last time we saw this happening, just before 2021, we saw a major Bitcoin bull market getting started. So let's discuss exactly that within today's update video. But we will discuss a lot more than only that, like of course the most important Bitcoin charts and price data. I will give a big update on my Ethereum trading position, and of course I will give my outlook on what I think is going to be next for Ethereum from of this point, and my outlook on altcoins and the upcoming altcoin season. So from there guys, make sure to first of all subscribe to the channel and watch and like my latest YouTube videos, and then we can dive into the most important content. And like stated in the intro, we are seeing something crazy happening now. Gold just keeps and keeps on pushing to the top side, and this in my opinion getting more and more likely that eventually we are going to see a cycle top also for gold. But even if that is not going to be the case, like we saw here in 2020, also if gold is just going to see a slight cool down, it is still going to be very bullish for Bitcoin, because every single time we have seen that happening for gold during this bull market, also corresponding with Bitcoin here, which is the orange line, always once we did saw a cool down for gold, we do see quite big pushes to the upside for Bitcoins. And I think that the next gold cool down could maybe be our starting signal to see the final Bitcoin wave, a final Bitcoin move to the top side, because I still do believe that something like that is going to happen. Indeed, a lot of charts are turning a little bit more bearish now. Bitcoin's in the ending stage of the 4-year cycle. It seems like the cycle top is in or is getting very close to most people, but I think it is just getting very close. It is probably not in yet. And if Bitcoin is not going to make new all-time highs, we are indeed going to see another bounce, I think. But we should be realistic, and indeed Bitcoin demand is fading. Every single 4-year cycle we do see one major demand spike basically, and after that we do see fading demand. The rally higher continues, but demands on the on-chain data keeps on fading, and eventually there is not enough demand left to keep pushing the prices higher. And that has happened during all of these bull market. Here the first bull market for Bitcoin, the second bull market here with a spike in demand in 2017, here in 2021, and now once again this bull market. But we could of course still see a major demand spike, but that is something that has historically never happened before for Bitcoin. So this chart is for me somewhat of proof that indeed we should be respecting the 4-year cycle, most definitely. And if it is going to turn out different, we should keep our eyes on this on-chain data, because that is going to be our signal that okay, maybe indeed something is going to be different. My warning signal to you guys out there, and my own indicator I'm going to be using to see when the Bitcoin bear market is going to get started, is going to be this one. Is Bitcoin overlaid with the moving average 50 trend line. Once we are going to break below this level on a weekly, I think the bull market is over, because this is also what happened in 2021. Then we even saw a retest, but eventually we saw a major bear market getting started. This entire bull market we have been holding above the 50 daily moving average on a weekly time frame here, which is of course very bullish. Always once we do come back here, people think it's over, but then eventually we do see another bounce higher. And looking at the seasonality of the cycle, I do still think that is possible, and we could still see another bounce from off exactly this level. Maybe Bitcoin is going to move a little bit lower, retesting the level once again before eventually heading higher. Ultimately, this is going to be the level where I will keep my eyes on for the upcoming weeks here. On the flip side, Bitcoin funding rates are now turning negative, but I must say it mostly happened on Binance. That is where the funding rates indeed did turn a little bit negative. And that is indeed going to be a bullish signal, but the funding rates can always get a little bit more negative from here. And that would correspond with, for example, seeing one last major wick fill of this Bitcoin tariff crash, like we saw during the first tariff crash, another fill, and also Black Monday a partial fill. I do still think that Bitcoin could see a little bit of a dip before eventually heading higher. It does not have to happen, but yeah, it could most definitely happen here, because we do know that after large liquidation events, that is something that has historically occurred for Bitcoin. So that's what I'm keeping in mind, but the funding rate starting to turn negative now is ultimately going to be a bullish signal for Bitcoin, because it does correspond with a lot of bottoms in the market. Also, this chart is showing us that maybe the Bitcoin top is indeed not going to be in yet, because the retail interest is not here yet. There's not as much retail interest in Bitcoin like we saw in 2021 and for example 2017. So yeah, maybe there's indeed still a lot of room left, but I'm betting for one final Bitcoin wave, and of course I will keep you guys up to date about exactly that over the upcoming videos. Also, coming back to this news we saw coming out yesterday actually, or the day before, Powell said that QT will end in the coming months, and that is going to be very bullish for Bitcoin and altcoins, because it means more liquidity will be able to enter the system, more liquidity will be able to enter the global economy, and ultimately that is going to be bullish for assets like crypto. So let's see how this is going to continue, but this is some very bullish news we saw coming out, of course. And now I do want to give a big update on my Ethereum trading position. I'm now in a slight profit, but actually I'm trading very close to my entry price for ETH, and I do still believe that with this trade we are indeed going to make a nice profit in this ending stage of the cycle. I do have a lot of conviction in this trade, and I have been slowly DCAing in. What does that mean? It basically means that I did not enter my full position just at one price level. I have been slowly DCAing in here on the way down, basically in this major bull flag pattern, which Ethereum now is forming. I have been accumulating on a lot of different levels, and I will stay doing so here. I will maybe be topping up the account even more to open an even bigger Ethereum trading position. But yeah, I do have a lot of conviction in this. I do have, just in case Bitcoin is indeed going to fill the wick, then I do think Ethereum is also going to be heading lower. For that, I do have a limit order open for ETH at the 3.45 level. Yeah, of course, always totally transparent with my trade. So if you do want to follow that limit order, just make sure to do so. You can also trade a lot of other pairs on LBANK, basically a lot of different altcoins. They're listing everything quite fast here, and now I also do have a new campaign to offer you guys, which I have been working on with LBANK, because now you can trade and win an iPhone 17 on LBANK, but actually it's much more, and I'm going to show you this now, because you can win different products from Apple itself, but also you still get a 20% deposit bonus. So if you're getting interested in that, and if you do want to increase your position size here, make sure to check it out. Of course, in no way financial advice, but it is indeed a nice campaign and a nice bonus. And if you do want to be claiming this, you can find the link in the description on this update video. So make sure to check it out here under LBANK, and you can find the link there and claim your deposit bonus and potentially win even more prizes. But most definitely you can also be, for example, copying my Ethereum trading position, or you can look into all of these other altcoin pairs on LBANK. You can do a lot on this platform. So yeah, make sure to check it out. Like stated also on LBANK here, Ethereum is now trading in this bull flag, and within this bull flag we have been slowly DCAing in. And ultimately, if Bitcoin is indeed going to see a final wave, because I do think that is somewhat needed for Ethereum to also see new and more impulse, if that is going to be the case, then Ethereum is going to move higher. It's going to break out the bull flag, it is going to break to new all-time highs, and once Ethereum breaks 5k and sustains the rally above those levels, I think from there altcoins will also see some good performance in the near future. Ethereum is now retesting the bull market support band once again, and the last time we saw this, we saw indeed a big move to the top side for ETH, and I do think something like that could happen again. Not of the same significance or magnitude, but ultimately it is still going to be a big one, and it is still going to be breaking the all-time high levels. So yeah, I do have a lot of conviction in Ethereum here, but of course I'm also keeping my eyes on Bitcoin, and of course this important level like I showed you guys earlier in today's update video. So keep that in mind, but for now Ethereum still looks quite good in my personal opinion, and that's why I think Ethereum could be hitting 5.3 to 6.4k this cycle, which does correspond with the next Fibonacci levels. All of these Fibonacci levels have been spot on during this entire Ethereum move to the top side. It always corresponded with major support or major resistance. So yeah, it is not going to be different this time. if Ethereum is indeed going to bounce from off the reaccumulation phase, it is going to hit the 5.3k and maybe even the 6.3k level. But let's see about exactly that. Of course, I will keep you guys up to date here about my Ethereum trade and all of the stuff I will be doing here regarding the trade. And guys, for altcoin season, I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm going to keep it very short. I do think it is still a great moment to accumulate altcoins just before the altcoin year and altcoin season could still be beginning. Basically, we have not seen the 2021 and 2017 highs yet for this altcoin season, so there is still a lot of potential left here. But you must understand that I do want to see an Ethereum rally first. I do want to see a final Bitcoin wave first before I'm truly going to be scaling into altcoins myself. For now, I'm focused on my Ethereum trading position, but if you're just accumulating on spot or low leverage positions, of course this is going to be a good moment if you still believe in altcoin season. Okay guys, that was it for today's update video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's update video, and then I will see you guys
If you have been
in my
looking
next update video tomorrow.